So whose fault is it in this relationship? Let's see what you have to say in the comments. So about 20 plus years ago, I was coaching this couple. And I'm going to give you as much detail as I possibly can without outing too much of who they are for those who are closer to me that may be able to identify the persons. But I had this couple. And their relationship was headed for the end. Now I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for you. They're still together to this day. But their relationship at this time frame was headed to the end. Why was it headed to the end? Well, there were a series of events that had happened in their relationship that had grave impact on their relationship. So to begin with, when they first got married, they were hot and heavy, like many couples are when they first get together. They are hot and heavy. They were intimate with each other 4 or 5 times a week. But after about 18 months to a year, that's began to die down. The husband would pursue her. He would still date her, still give her flowers, still do all the things that he was doing beforehand. But now he was recognizing that he was being denied sex more often than he was receiving it. It dwindled all the way down to where he was only getting sex from his wife about once a week. So he began to make statements, complain about it. And at the time frame, she really didn't have a reason. He was the bread earner of the household. She was not working. They did not have children. She basically had her whole day to herself to merely take care of a very small apartment. So over time, about 3-4 years later, they began to have children. And of course, now that they have children, of course, now her taking care of the house and taking care of the kids, because she still wasn't working outside the home, it began to weigh even more so on her. And so now their sex life got cut down to maybe 2-3 times a month. And he was having a problem with this. Now for a while, he stopped dating her as much as he was doing before. But then he stepped outside the relationship. And although they had been to counseling prior to him stepping outside the relationship, he became frustrated with his lack of sex, and he stepped outside the relationship. After a few years of doing so, he finally admitted to her that he had stepped outside the relationship. Of course, this put even more strain on their relationship, and now they were only having sex maybe once every other month. Now that she was also going to school, it made it even more difficult for them to have time for one another, and he took on a position where he was working quite a few hours a day, more than the average 8, working around 10-12 hours a day. So now they were becoming even more and more estranged from one another. As they continued to become more estranged from one another, he finally had a breakdown, and he told her that never again will I ever cheat on you again. But this situation is very stressful for me. They had about a good year or two of having sex about 3-4 times a month. But even that was still not enough, because she was still holding on to the fact that he stepped outside the relationship, and in her mind, there was never a reason for him to do so. I agree, there's never a reason to betray the trust within a relationship. But it is not without some level of understanding that he finally found himself in a situation where he gave in to the temptation. So then, he began, instead of stepping outside the relationship, to satisfy his urges with porn. So the way that this would work, he would come home and they would go upstairs, and at the end of the day, and when he would try to initiate intimacy with her, most times she rejected him. So quite often when he was rejected, he would go downstairs, get on his phone or his laptop, watch porn, masturbate. Then she began to recognize that he was getting up from the bed. And without his knowledge initially, she would sneak down and find out and see that he was watching porn and masturbating. So the 3-4 times they were having sex a month began to diminish again. Now they were back to once or twice a month. Because she felt that since he was watching porn that he doesn't find her attractive, that he would rather have the porn than her, and she found the porn to be disgusting. So now she had another reason why she did not want to have sex with him. And the more she withheld sex, the more and more he watched porn. to the point where he became desensitized from her and would only be engorged when he would think about activities that happened on porn. Now, as time went on, he started to find himself in more dangerous situations. He would find himself stopping by the local peep shows or the local places that's had videos, and according to him, they had glory holes in some of the viewing rooms. And he found himself taking the opportunity to have people watch him masturbate. And he became more and more susceptible to actually participating with people. And so one night he tells his wife, I don't want to cheat on you, and I'm not going to cheat on you. I know I'm putting myself in a dangerous situation. Something has to be done. She flew off the handle and said that, well, I know you've been watching porn, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to have sex with you. And they were about to get a divorce. He was ready to leave. And that's when they contacted me. And that's when I began the process of unraveling everything and laying everything out on the line to let both of them see how they have both participated in the detriment of their relationship. I didn't put it all on the woman, nor did I put it all on the man. But I looked for ways for them to be able to gain back the trust that was lost, but also gain back the interest for the wife to have interest to have sex with her husband. Because at no point did he lose interest in having sex with her. Anytime she was ready to have sex, he was ready. So it took a few years for them to get back to a state of how they were those first few months, those first 18 months of them being together. But I really want to hear from you guys. In that type of situation, if you've been in that type of situation, what did you do? Did you end the relationship? Did you step out and cheat on your spouse? Are you still cheating on your spouse? Have you become desensitized and addicted to porn? Do you view his activities as, well, he just needs to suck it up because he made a pledge to her? Or do you view it as she also made a pledge to him and she needs to suck it up as well? What are your thoughts on this situation? I'm just curious. This couple has been thriving for the last 18 years and have one of the most beautiful relationships that I can pinpoint. But I want to know what you guys would have done, and if you're dealing with this, how would you deal with it now? Now that you know that there is never a black and white to it, but a bunch of shades of gray. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.